Hello, my name is Professor Bruce Rasband, and I'd like to consider myself as an educator, teacher, professor, instructor. I know there's a lot of us, and I also do know that above and beyond the global financial crisis that happened in 2008, education in general has been under scrutiny as well as criticism. But I'm in charge of my classroom. In one of the places that I teach, I have students who have worked 8 to 10 hours that day, have commuted a couple of hours to come to my classroom, and they have another couple of hours of commute to go back. And all of this in a very difficult marketplace. And generally, as far as American or global education is considered, this is one of the worst possible times. It used to be that for my parents, and perhaps yours and others, in the 60s or 70s or 80s, they went to school for 4 or 6 years, and then for the most part they were done with their education process. University education, in terms of our traditional universities, was looked highly upon and respected a great deal, which I still do. But what has happened is that we are now looking at just-in-time, lifelong, specific, marketable, and certifiable skill set, which literally changes from year to year. We are looking at not just our traditional universities, which they have their role to play, and there are times that they look to be more expensive of an investment that some of us can afford. But yet, if you're working, good for you. If you're not working, if you're unemployed, underemployed, unhappy with your job, this is your chance to go to your near community college, which is career focused, that would help you gain those latest and greatest marketable, certifiable skill set. As a routine, I tell my students that if you complete this particular course that I'm teaching you now, which is really based on many years of my experience and other people's experience, which is what the employer desperately needs, then by completing this particular course, you have experienced equivalent experience of 2 or 3 months of working in that particular field. Understand? And that is what works. That is what works with people who are excited and anxious to come to my class. And they are really eager to find out practical, reasonable, effective answers that they can go, in some cases, and apply next day to their job. This is what keeps them away from being in a layoff list. This is what helps them get promotions even in such a difficult market. Okay? The worst thing I saw in this years that I have been teaching is a student in front of my class, a 25-year-old professional who worked for a major corporation, tell me, Professor Rasband, you're talking about job and career and life satisfaction. You're telling us about the job you had in the 70s or 80s, that you could not wait to go to work. the job that the employer really, really, really cared for you, really, really provided for you, and you looked at that as a contract, unwritten, but contract, a job contract between you and the employer that was not 3 months or 6 months. But now the way the market is, I'm happy if I get a job. I'm happy if I can keep it. And when layoffs and plant closures and offshoring happens, okay, I've lost a job. I take a few days, a few weeks, and then I would go back in the same job search situation that I had been for a very long time before that. There is no job satisfaction. I'm just struggling to survive. That made me very sad. In fact, I felt guilty because at some points in my career, I was very lucky to see job satisfaction that produced outstanding results for the company and employee. It was, by the way, the company that sent me to executive management classes at their expense. And it paid off because I came back as a better manager than I had before been. But nowadays, with budgets that are bare minimum and competition that's extremely stiff, and again, this global financial crisis has in some ways damaged the fabric of our society. The workplace has become, in some cases, unbearable. I'm not going to blame anybody, but that's the reality today. And the only defense that these people who are our students have is our ability as educators to provide them with the best education we can. And we've got the tools today. In most of my classes, a 2-minute YouTube or a few minutes of Google search provides more information than 500 pages of reading of a textbook. I have Carly Fiorina, who is the former CEO of Hewlett-Packard, in a 2-minute clip very quickly tell my students why 70% of organization change fails. And she puts it very simply in a presentation at Stanford University. Look, change comes. Nobody likes change. We all want things to be the same way as they always were. And some organizations look at their own survival as the most prominent thing, and now everything is going to be different. That creates fear. As long as that fear is in the organization, employees and employers, you can't succeed unless, as a manager, you learn how to work with that in a win-win, consensus-building way. Of course, there are other ways as well. Let's go back to my student who challenged me. Professor Rasman, I don't understand what you're talking about, job satisfaction. Let's go back. I met with her by an accident some months later. But this time the tune was totally changed. Professor Rasman, I got a raise. And Professor Rasman, without me, this particular group can't function. Thank you. By the way, I still don't know what job satisfaction that you were talking about is all about. but at least I'm not afraid, and I'm producing. And I know that as long as I'm producing, chances are that I'll be successful in a company. That is the most rewarding thing that no paycheck could ever bring to me. And I know you, as educators, you have experienced the same. In a way, in a classroom and in an employee's or manager's day-to-day life, we are the most powerful source, and we can do and achieve outstanding results. That's not bad for a job, is it? Thank you.